I want to thank all of you for coming this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so very important, particularly in the times that we live in right now and what's taking place across the country to somehow erase history from the minds of not just the people maybe that don't want to hear it, but erase the history from the people that created it and need to hear it, our lineage, our legacy, our children, you know, the ancestors. Good morning. I am Dee Dee Adams, council member of the North Ward that you are in right now, as well as the mayor pro tem of the city of Winston-Salem. Good morning. I would like to bring you greetings. Our mayor is not able to be here today, but he sends his warmest welcomes and congratulations on the cutting of this park. The first thing I'm going to do is recognize city staff. That's right, you got a big old grin from me. City staff that are here. I have interim city manager Patrice Toney. Would you stand up, please? I have assistant city manager Ben Rao. I have assistant city manager Aaron King. I have police chief, Winston-Salem PD chief William Penn at the back. I have, who else? I have staff from the Historic Resources Commission and probably board members. Would you please stand? The board members. I have the staff that make it happen. Heather, where is Michelle? Heather and Michelle. Those two ladies, yeah, woo! Those two ladies are primarily responsible for the push that you've seen so far as capturing not just the history of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County, but particularly African-American history in this county. And they ought to be thanked, so you need to give them another round of applause. See, I'm gonna get all of the protocol stuff out the way. I'd like to thank marketing and communications. You guys kind of wave your hands in the air like you don't care. And I'd like to recognize the mayor of Bethania. Any other elected officials here from Bethania? Roll call? No? Okay. William? Oh, William gonna get to speak. William Royce, the Director of Parks and Recreation, ladies and gentlemen. In the pink, not the pink shirt over here. He will be coming up shortly. I'm gonna go ahead and call up Councilmember John Larson, who is a historical enthusiast, and we're gonna let him say words. You feel like coming up, John? I know you do. You don't miss an opportunity to talk about some history. Come on. You're welcome, sweet. Councilmember John Larson of the South Ward.
Thank you. South Ward. South Ward is just about as far away from here as you can get and still be in the city of Winston-Salem. But I can tell you I'm not more enthusiastic, never been more enthusiastic about coming to a place, this place this afternoon or this morning. What's so wonderful about this is not only the research that was done to sort of redeem the character of this place, the significance of this place, is the fact that people care about it enough to create a monument such as this to our past. And there's no building here. There's only really a history that's associated with this park that gives it significance. And it's all about a place, isn't it? We've lost a lot of things in Winston-Salem, buildings and sites that we've wanted to protect and what have you over the years, particularly African American. So it's exciting to me to see us redeem really one and bring one back to public view for generations to come. This will be a touchstone of African American history in the city of Winston-Salem and particularly in Bethania area. So I'm grateful that we're finally recognizing this and bringing it together. I'm pleased to be able to participate. There are a variety of people that have participated in this history of Bethania that have helped redeem it. Mo and Martha Hartley, I believe, are here. I believe they've participated in this a lot. Particularly thank Heather and her work on these exceptionally good panels that we see out here that are going to be the history, tell the story of this historical place. And thank you, Heather and Michelle, for bringing this back to us and giving us a gift to the city, really, to have celebrate this past. So anytime we can celebrate our history, Winston-Salem is so rich in history, but parts of it have been neglected, and this is sort of catching us up in an area that I think needs attention. There's more to be done. Actually, there's more to be done out here in Bethania. That we know there's still a story to be told out here of this population that lives outside of the existing boundaries of the town as it currently is defined. And I hope that we'll be able to do that in the months ahead. But thank you for coming out and showing your respect to this place and showing your appreciation for the past. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. I want to go ahead and also recognize former County Commissioner Fleming Alameen, who is here this morning as well. Again, I'm going to protocol. I'd ask the Mayor of Bethania to please come up and say a couple of words if you'd like. I learned from my friends and predecessors that, you know, you got to do some protocol sometimes. So you got a minute on the mic.
A minute's all I need. But, you know, being the mayor of Bethania, we feel like it's a privilege to be here, for one thing. But this part is a part of, even though it's not within the town limits of Bethania, it is a part of the history of Bethania. And that's what our Bethania is all about. It's just the history. And so it's nice to have this brought into that part of the history. And so anything we can do for you, be glad to. And I'll do a little plug. Today is our Black Walnut Festival. And AMD Design has a great bake sale going on over there. So anybody that's hungry after this, find your way down to Bethania to the Black Walnut Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could just show of hands or stand up any families that their ancestors and their lineage is here in Bethania Freedman. Could you guys stand up, raise your hand? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And for those that haven't met any of them, I encourage you before they leave to at least go up, shake their hand, get a name, learn where their family actually lived and how they feel about their community. I want you to understand that this was not just a labor of love. This was a labor of one of my assignments when I got elected. I immediately heard from the Bethania Freedman's community in 2010 of what they wanted in their community and their expectations and how they had basically felt neglected and forgotten by the city of Winston-Salem and the county of Forsyth. I know the ribbon cutting got pushed back a lot, but I also wanted to make sure, as you know, that the people, the families had a say in how this was done and what their expectations were. And we tried to do the best we could, but I need you to understand we're not done yet. Did you hear me? We're not done yet. Because when you look at the way the city of Winston-Salem is, and most of us have lived there or live there, any time that it comes to our history, it just seems to be an afterthought. And I'm not saying nothing that most of you don't already know or haven't heard. But if there are not some of us that's pushing to make sure that our history is documented and defined and viable and successful and heard, then it won't be done. And I'm not going to apologize if you're in the audience that you felt my passion over the past 14, 15 years, because this community deserves to be heard. They deserve their history to be protected and shown to the public as well as the community. I know right now, presently, there is a request for about $35,000 to help secure the historic notification or preservation documents. And Heather and Michelle know that I am working on that as interim city manager Tony knows that. The other assistant managers know that. And I'm not letting go of that because my feeling is, and Councilmember Larson knows how I am, if we can spend money on other places in Winston-Salem that want to depict African American history, then we need to depict all African American history and not just what's in Winston-Salem urban area of the city. Because this history, if you read the marketing about how this area had the most African American population in Forsyth County. How could we have gone this long and not done something to make sure that everybody knows that? So I will be working with staff and my council, my peers, and as I tell people now, if you want, you need to send them some emails, send the council, the mayor, staff, me, and you need to help me champion this so that I know that I'm not alone in this, I won't call it a fight, I'm gonna call it in this quest. I like that, that's a good one, quest, I like that. And now I am going to call up William Roston, who is the director of our Parks and Recs in Winston-Salem. Mr. Royston.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Pro Tem Adams kind of hinted on something that makes what I do very fun. You know, there's such history here in the city of Winston-Salem. Culturally, there are very different things going on all over the city. And it's a joy for me to be in the position to be able to kind of bring these things to life and create these wonderful facilities. I do want to take a minute to recognize one of my Recreation Parks Commission members, Mr. Bob Hartwell. Mr. Hartwell, could you stand up for? Thank you. We presented this project to our Recreation Parks Commission many years ago, and with their support, we were able to help get it done. Also recognize another partner that's done a lot of work for us here, not just here at this park, but at Long Creek, Mr. Mike Leonard with the Conservation Fund. Without their help, we wouldn't have been able to acquire a lot of the property that we've been able to develop here over the years. I think this park is very special to us. It does recognize and signify the history for a lot of the residents that grew up in this part of Winston-Salem. And me not being a Winston-Salem native, I still have a lot of respect for those that made this city what it is, because right now it's a place that I call home, where I live, work, and play also. I'd like to thank everyone for for coming out today, and God bless.
Thank you. I also see that Miss Cheryl Harry over the Triad Cultural Arts is here in the back. Cheryl, raise your hand, please. I call Cheryl the keeper of our history. She's like the grid of our history, whether it's Juneteenth or any other, the African-American oral histories they've been collecting, whether it's the desegregation of Forsyth County, Winston-Salem schools. Cheryl and her staff and her organization does a tremendous job. Right now, we're going to call up Mr. Ali Shabazz, Bethania Freedman's descendant. We get ready to go to history. We get ready to learn some history. And while you talking, I'm gonna sit down.
Come here.
What? He beat me up so much.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Dee Dee for the campaign she just spoke on, and also Priscilla Kearns for putting together the panels, along with and as well as I want to thank the rest of the city for their decision to help build a park for the Bethania Freedman's community. Everyone that's been involved that was mentioned earlier, I'd like to thank all of y'all. And the Bethania mayor, I mean, with what's going on down at the Black Walnut Festival, I see this as an opportunity to consolidate. Would you know, like if they're doing theirs on the 16th of each year, then we don't just make this a one bus stop thing and we do this the 16th, all of us do it together. Also, I thank you, the Bethania Freedman's community, for your presence and the acknowledgement of our deep Afro-Moravian roots dating back to slavery, the 1700s. And the importance to it was mentioned earlier, to the North Carolina historic landscape, including people from Mr. J.L. Lash from our past. He was a one-room school teacher, and I hope to get that one-room school duplicated. And then there's the late Miss Thelma Coger Small, whom the fire station is named after. The Bethania Freedman's Park is part of the historic project and the future of our aspirations and goals, and with your unity, and it can materialize. Again, it was mentioned that there are students from the Winston-Salem State Archives Department who will be taking oral history interviews. Those oral history interviews help to validate the what you see that's written. So if you see it written and you got a few people that still left, there's Mr. Larson. He's right here in front of me. I didn't even know who he was. I saw it. I mean, he came up on the property quite some years ago. And I just want to say I thank y'all, and let's continue to make this happen each year, because all of y'all look wonderful. And that's all I got. That's all I have to say. Okay.
Next, I also see that Councilmember Scipio just arrived. Councilmember Scipio, if you'll come forward up front, and I'm going to let you say a few words. She is one of those people like Councilmember Larson. She likes to talk history, which I don't have a problem with that. Come on, particularly African American history. Councilmember Annette Scipio of the East Ward.
Good morning, good morning. I am going to apologize for being late, but I'm working on my church's history. I'm at St. Peter's World Outreach, and we are creating a 95 history commemorative book, and we meet every Saturday working on that, and I had to go there and get that team taken care of, and I'm so happy I'm here in time to at least cut the ribbon. But you know, one of the things for me is how special this area is. Mrs. Small and Reverend Small were good friends of mine, and they loved this area. I came to know this area through them because they lived right here, I think. So I've spent time right in this area. What a beautiful day this is. What a beautiful moment this is to commemorate and celebrate the history of the African Americans that lived in this area. Growing up in Winston, we just thought we were the only black people. We never thought there were black people out in Bethania and Rural Hall. What a legacy. And large quantities. So we just thought we were just it. But it's beautiful to know the history here that began before any of our people came to the city. So we're so happy to commemorate and celebrate this day. And I will say to all of my African American friends, family, and associates, continue to share your history, your story. We must pass it on to the generations that are behind us. And we must be proud of our legacy. Yes, there were some harsh times, but if it wasn't for our ancestors who chose to live in spite of the harsh conditions that they had to endure, we would not be here today. So I celebrate our ancestors, and we look forward to this being a wonderful time of renewal, refreshing, but growth. Thank you.
Michelle, is it possible for Ms. Cairns to come down front? I mean, she did our visualization boards, our boards. And I just want you all to know that when I got to the city in 2009, I knew, just like most African Americans, we didn't have any history, much of it left. And I began to talk to Michelle and them about, and the parks people, why is it we don't have visual boards throughout the city and our communities to help our young people understand what was before they were. And I just want to thank you. Come on up and say a few words, because that's very powerful to be able to have those. So if you can kind of tell us the inspiration and how it went.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Priscilla Ann Glenn Cairns, and I am a daughter of Bethania, North Carolina. I grew up on Cherry Street, but just right across the road, to the right of that White House there, is where my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my mother, and all of my great uncles and aunts also grew up there. If you go farther up the road, you will find what used to be the home of William Conrad and his wife, Sally Conrad. Sally Conrad was the daughter of Abigail Jane Conrad. Abigail was enslaved on the Samuel Starber farm. Okay, if you go farther down the road, and most of the people out here, first of all, I say hi to all my cousins, because I think everybody out here is my cousin. I do believe so. But if you go farther down the road, you will find my grandparents' home, which is on Walker Road. Some of you who are older may remember Robert George Glenn and his wife, Ella Roosevelt Glenn. Ella Roosevelt was the daughter of the Reverend Joseph Lofton Lash. So I'm also a descendant of him. And Reverend Joseph Lofton Lash, his great-great-grandmother is the Millie Lash, who was the first person buried in the cemetery down at the Bethania AME Zion Church. So my roots go deep, and they can't get any deeper. I enjoyed many summers here, playing across the road. I enjoyed many summers down at my grandparents', and it's always been a part of my life. So I am so happy that the city erected this park so that all relatives can come out here and enjoy this nice fresh air and reflect on our ancestors. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Dr. Michael O'Hartley.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Good morning to all of you on this beautiful day. It's wonderful to be here. As I've said to many of you from this community before, first, let me just tell you who I am, sort of. I heard Mayor Pro Tem Adams say one time that she didn't think it was such a good idea for white folks to be telling black folks their history. So I'm standing here, obviously, a white boy
from South Carolina, the low country of South Carolina. That's the truth. I'm also a white boy who's 81 years old. And over the course, and I'm a Carolinian. I'm an archaeologist. My reason for doing archaeology has been Carolina. And over the years, and one of the reasons I began to do that was because I had questions as a young man. I go deep into South Carolina. We're talking about ancestry here. Why are we the way we are? What are we doing that we need to get rid of, to stop doing? And what are those things we need to do to continue to preserve our past in the best way we can? That's a hard question to be asking yourself. When you think about our history all over the Carolinas and your history here, I'm not here to explain to the Freedmen's community why you all are significant. You know so much more about your own significance than I ever will know. Place is about people. Place is about you all. Place is about your lives here. This place. This place. I have some skills that I think are useful to you all, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to put history into a form that will be acceptable to nominate the Freedmen's community to the National Register of Historic Places. And the reason to do that is to establish that this community requires recognition. It requires acknowledgement. You require acknowledgement. You deserve acknowledgement. You are such a special group of people. I've known some of you since back in the 80s. And I have great respect and admiration for this community, so it's with a certain amount of humility that I come here to do this work. You all have historians in the past. Lofton Lash, as Councilwoman Scipio says, preserve your history. That's been going on here for years. Lofton Lash writing the history of AME Zion. Priscilla Glenn Cairns writing her book. Ali Shabazz tenaciously, I said,
Tenaciously.
being present, yes, give him an applause. Absolutely. Fierce. He's a fierce man, but a gentle man. Your history has been in your minds consciously, with great awareness and with great self-respect on your part, which is merited. So I'm not going to belabor. Oh, I just want to say something about place. Putting this here as a focal point for recreation, when you think about the Cogers, when you think about the Smalls, you think about Bud Koger's shack. There was, some of you know what I'm talking about over here. The Miles of Pines Club that turned into the Floridian Club down the hill on that lake. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. This was a focal point of recreation for this community and for the black community of Winston-Salem. Across the road is a 21-acre tract of land that the freed and, also want to mention in talking about the Kogers, Betty Koger, who acquired this land, had been born in enslavement. And she married Madison Koger, who came down here in 1874 with R.J. Reynolds to help R.J. Reynolds establish his tobacco empire. And they own vast land here. And some of this land is still held by Kogers over here. Across the road is 21 acres, and it is still held by descendants of the original purchasers, the original. That's an unusual thing. That's an unusual thing. There's tenacity. Up and down this road, and by the way, this road out here is ancient. It's on a 1771 map. It's called the Bethania Rural Hall Road. Well, in the early 20th century, it was the Bethania Germantown Road, and before that, it was the old road from Bethania to the town park. Anyhow, there's a lot of history here. I will do diligently what I can to make this happen. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate you so much. And it's an honor for me to be here with you. Thank you.
All minds and hearts are clear. Mr. Royston, where is he? Are we ready? Communication, marketing, ready? Okay, I'm going to try to do something different here, because I can. I would like all of the descendants of Bethania Freedman to come forward for this ribbon cutting, to be up here. Please.
I got everybody there. Maybe get a close up.
I was about to close. Okay, now y'all gotta scoot and let me in. I don't take on much room. All right, okay. Go. Michelle. Whoa. Everybody, you heard that. We'll get ready to cut the ribbon. So
All right.
You need to look at the cameras. Give me your biggest smile.
That's
and
right,
if you
big
can't
smile.
see the camera, then the camera can't see you.
All right, big smiles, big smile.
On the count of 3.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you all so much. You might want to keep a piece of this. Some of y'all want to keep it for your body.